right in the game. He's the voice of reason in the AI world, guiding us forward. Watch it unfold from the black box deep to the open source rise. Berman is the beacon, the one who's wise. Matthew Berman, he's the LLM king, breaking down the models, making data sing. From open source wonders to the closed code's might, with every breakdown, he's shining in the light.
All right. Hello. This is our first official formal stream. I wonder if anybody can actually see me. Let me know in the chat if you could see me, because this is going to be a little bit rough. This is our first one, so there's a little bit of rough edges. I'm glad some of you like that song. I'll tell you who made it for us. So today we're gonna do a couple introductions from folks on our team over here, and then we'll get into the schedule and everything else. Cool. All right. Perfectly good. Yes, sweet. All right. Very nice. Okay, so let me see if I can work OBS right. And cool. This is Alex. So meet Alex. He's going to be the moderator today. He also edits all of the videos. He also helps me with all the YouTube strategy stuff. Alex, please say hi.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? Yeah, I do the production stuff.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, Alex will be jumping in. If you have any suggestions for the stream, how to make it better, suggestions for videos, let us know. Alex will be reading all of it. And then Melissa, who is also from our team, she does everything sponsor related. She does a million other things. She's an incredible member of the team. So Melissa, say hi as well.
Hi, everybody. I am Melissa, and I do all the business side of the things, like Matt said.
All right. Very cool. Alex, say hi one more time. So you're going to be on screen.
Yep. Hello, hello.
All right, cool. So yeah, we're already saying great work, Alex. Agreed. Good job.
Thanks,
okay.
everyone.
So let me switch. All right, I'm going to take Alex off the screen for a second, just to talk about what we're going to be doing today. So first, I want to thank AI Yoga Masters for making that intro song. It's hilarious and it's awesome. So thank you. He's actually made a few songs. I think they're AI generated, but they sound great. They're corny in the best way possible. So thank you to AI Yoga Masters. You can find him on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And today we're going to be talking about the AI news from the week. The schedule is going to be, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping, just tell you what's going on with the channel. Then we're going to get right into the news. And then we have a special guest who will be joining us to talk about the news. And then we could do some Q&A with him after, and he'll be here probably in about 20 minutes. So why don't we get into it? This has been an absolutely insane week. And by the way, if you have questions, throw them in chat. I'm reading chat. I'm trying to keep up with all of it. So let's get into it. I will share my screen. Okay. There we go. Alex, you're on screen as well. Sam Altman guest. Nope, that's not happening. But close enough. We are going to talk about I Ruled the World Mo first. quickly. He is the hype master. Completely took over AI X this week, and it was just an impressive show of building hype. Just absolutely dominating. He went from something like 3,000 followers to now almost 32,000 followers. And yeah, it was just quite impressive. And he is a troll as well, because almost nothing he said actually came true. But I love it. I love the hype. I'm here for it. I definitely had to mark not interested on some of his posts because it became too much. But yeah, I don't know. It was funny. And I think we all know Jimmy Apples might be the one who actually has the inside information. So what do you all think about that? Let me know in chat. Okay, Cone Mortier, I unfollowed him. He's like on SSRI. Is he credible? So I asked him if he actually shared who he was yesterday. He DM'd me a couple times over the week and he did not share it. So he said the mystery is more fun. Sure, why not? Tobias, yeah, I'm just gonna jump around. I have like a short attention span, so I'm reading the comments. What are your top 3 sources for news in the Gen AI community? Like X for sure. Like AIX, if you're on there, follow me. By the way, that's something you definitely should do. So at Matthew Berman. But there's like a 1,000 people that you can follow for great news. If you go to my Twitter and then you just look at who I'm following, you could probably just follow most of those. Yes, thank you.
Gotcha.
X.com/Matthew Berman. And let's see. And actually, while I'm on this topic, I have a newsletter as well. So if you want to stay up to date with the latest news, it gets published on Tuesday mornings, PST, and Friday mornings, PST. We're doing a lot of investment into it. Like bringing on people to help write thought pieces and more than just a summary of all the news. So definitely check it out, MatthewBerman.com. And yeah,
We also
so
have
okay.
we also have members now. So if you want to become a member and support the channel, you can. We're
Yeah.
coming up with perks and all that.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. He set that up. So yeah, it literally went live minutes before this live stream. So
Yep.
it's cool. Check it out. Sam Altman owes us a supermodel. Who's with me? Mutiny. Yeah, there needs to be a model soon. I think we're gonna get it soon. I don't know. I know nothing more than what you all know, but it feels like it's been long enough. We need it. Whoops, add interruption. I'll try to do that minimally. I think YouTube just does it automatically.
Yeah, YouTube does it, unfortunately.
Okay. Maybe I'll turn that off in the next stream or turn it down a little bit. All right. So yeah, that's all I want to say about I Rule the World Mo. That was an interesting week for him.
What a troll.
And what a troll indeed. What a troll. But for the coolest news of the week, Grok 2 beta release. So sus column R was all of a sudden available on lmsys.org. No one really knew what it was. A lot of people, including I Rule the World Mo, I'm going to just call him Mr. Strawberry, promoted it as GPT-5, Strawberry, Q-Star, whatever you want to call it. Alex has edited enough of my videos where he knows all of this stuff like the back of his hand.
The fact that we didn't see that it was Grok 2, just by the name,
yeah,
that one's on us.
If it's like peak trolling, peak memery, it must be Elon. So, and here it is. You could see 2 columns, or 2 columns with some fading. But yeah, Grok 2 is out, and from the initial testing, it was pretty good. It seems to maybe either have logic and reasoning kind of built into it in a certain way, or maybe it has a system prompt that every single prompt that you give it, it says, think through this step by step. I don't know. But it is really good. So let's go over what it's all about. I'm going to pause for a second and look at chat. We're going to need even more patience, Jimmy. Yeah, absolutely. Patience. Go to the patience cave. Has anybody used Grok 2? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I'll read over this blog post, tell you a little bit about it. I already made a video about it, so hopefully you watch that. But yeah, we're excited to release an early preview of Grok 2. Grok 2 Mini is the only one available right now. It's in beta. So Grok 2, the larger version, is not available yet. That makes me think that sus column R is the mini version. Let's see. Right. So it was on LM-Sys. It did really well, as we can see here. Hopefully, let me see. Does this work, Alex? If I zoom, did that work?
I can't tell because I have a delay on the stream.
Okay.
Also,
Oh,
just
it
make sure
did.
whatever you're reading is at the top of your screen.
Yep. Okay. I think. Love for Alex. Great job, man. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Hey, thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, I think that did work. It's zoomed in. You guys can see it. No, I got to zoom out a little bit. Zoom in. Okay. Bear with me. Still getting the hang of this. There we go. All right. So this is the overall ELO scores on Chatbot Arena. Number 1, GPT-4o latest. Then is Gemini 1.5 Pro experimental, which I tested, and it was horrible. If you watch my videos, you know I rarely say that, and I try to be positive. I try to see things through rose-colored lenses, but unfortunately, there is no seeing it through rose-colored lenses here. Gemini 1.5 was just bad.
I was so bad for a frontier model too. It's disappointing for sure.
So
GPT-4o,
yeah, thank you, Google. I think we'll come back to this in a moment. We have to talk about the Google event, so we'll get there. GPT-4o, this is the standard version, but number 4, coming in at number 4, sus column R, early Grok 2. Again, I think it's Grok 2 Mini, but maybe it's not. We're not actually sure. I don't think they specified. Let me know in chat if they did, and I'm just not reading it. Hello from Bahrain. Hey, Hassan, very cool. Okay, so let's look at some of the benchmarks. Grok 2, Grok 2 Mini. What I pointed out in my video is they're actually really similar. Like, certainly Grok 2 is better than Grok 2 Mini, but surprisingly, Grok 2 Mini performs nearly as well across all of the major benchmarks. GPTQA, MMLU, MMLU Pro, Math, Human Eval, etc. Here's Grok 1.5, so a vast improvement. You all know how much weight I put into these benchmarks. That is why, which is why I really make my own tests and put out these videos, because I really just don't trust them.
Just a note on your screen, you can't really see the left side of what is being evaluated.
Let me zoom out. I think that worked. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're also covering it a little bit. By the way, we'll sort all this out. We're going to take some notes as to like what's working, what's not. And again, like drop comments or drop chat. How do you even say that? Drop comments in chat. Yeah.
Say something like
Speak
that.
up. Speak up. Let us know. Hi, Ista. And yeah, so let us know in chat if you want anything improved, if we could do anything better during the stream. Okay. Claude 3 Opus, GPT-4 Turbo. But yeah, Grok 2 looks like it's doing pretty well. I would have expected Grok 2 Mini to be fast, but it wasn't. It wasn't fast. If it was on LM-Sys, it wasn't fast, but certainly on X, it's not fast. We could do some testing, by the way. If you guys want to throw some tests into the chat, I'm happy to do that. I also thought we can have some fun and make some images, as long as we don't go
all
too
I've
crazy.
been doing on it.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. Uncensored is the way to go.
It is
not completely uncensored though. There's no nudity allowed. And at first I was thinking, well, that's kind of absurd when you can get a picture of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump flying a plane into the Twin Towers, but I get it. We don't want to see.
Gotta draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, like certainly don't want nude celebrities, and obviously don't want anything underage as well. So maybe that's just like the easy line to draw. No nudity. Okay. So yeah, let's keep going. Right. So we have the Grok text to image, which is powered by Flux.1. I made a mistake in my video. I had said it was former members of Midjourney's team who left and started Flux, but that is not correct. Let me make a correction. It was actually Stable Diffusion members who left, started Flux.1. And it's an open source model, which means you could download it, use it locally. I actually haven't played with it much, especially locally. So I don't know. Maybe it's good. I am going to switch into let me get into Grok real quick. Give me a second. And we're gonna play around with it. All right. Here we go. So let's make some images. Generate me an image of a llama. So one thing I noticed is you have to be really explicit. You always have to say, I spelled it wrong, but generate me an image of, and then it does it. Otherwise, it doesn't do it. And then even if I like try to continue, at least this is what I've seen. Let's test it again right now. Now make the llama wearing glasses. It didn't work when I just continued the prompt last time. Okay, maybe it's going to work this time.
Now, I've noticed it has a really hard time like following the conversation.
Yeah, it's definitely not as good as Dolly through ChatGPT, which is, if you see any kind of AI looking stuff in my thumbnails, that's what I use. I'm going to pause for a second though. Hey, Matt just joined. Who's joining you? Special guests coming soon. They will be joining shortly. Let's see. What image should I create? Give me some suggestions. If it has been trained on nudity, the nipples would look normal. Okay. Elon Musk riding a llama. All right, let's start with something nice and easy. Let's do that. So actually, let me show you something. With Dolly, you could just type Elon Musk riding a llama and it would know what to do. Let's see if it does that. All right, it's actually getting better. Every other time I've used it prior to today, you have explicitly had to say, generate me an image. But it looks like it's actually getting the conversation more understanding from previous messages, I should say. Okay. Let's see. Can we just get regular AI news instead of live streams? Yes, Batman. Yes, you can. I will also be recording a regular old news video. It will be published tomorrow. So you don't have to watch.
Keep it separate.
Yeah, you don't have to watch if you don't want to, but of course, we love you if you do. Okay, let's see. Upside down pineapple. All right. I'm always afraid you guys are trying to mess with me and I'm going to type something
I'm going to try that out right now. I'm already on it. I want to know.
Yeah. Watch me get booted from YouTube because of just following directions.
That seems to be fine.
All right. Did not work.
It didn't do it though, but yeah.
Okay, Ninja Turtle. Oh, my chat is completely freezing. All right. Everything looks good, though.
Someone says Ronald McDonald dual wielding guns. I think we should try that one.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, no sensors. This is fantastic. Yeah. Oh, why does he look like the guy from It? Right? Isn't that it's like a mixture between Ronald McDonald and the most recent It character. It's It, right? Yeah.
That is funny.
Great movie. Yeah, my chat is frozen. Actually, OBS is frozen for me.
Yeah, he does totally. It's just It wearing a McDonald's outfit.
All right. That's enough fun with Grok. So that's what's been happening. I'm going.
I tried to generate a picture of Matt long ago. It doesn't work. Not there yet.
Okay. So, yeah, that's Grok. Really cool to see another model. I hope Elon Musk and team decides to open source it like they did Grok 1.5. I suspect he will, maybe just out of spite. Elon Musk has a strong spite sense, and I think he's going to do it. They're opening up an API for enterprise, for developers. That's great. Enhanced security, multi-factor authentication. Awesome. And Grok 2 Mini are being rolled out on X. And Grok 2 Mini is the only one available, which I already mentioned, but Grok 2 hopefully soon. Okay. Now, what I am super excited about, SearchGPT. Alexandru, thank you very much. Yeah, SearchGPT. So I got access last night, and I've been playing around with it. I already made Chrome default to SearchGPT, and it's like I don't ever see a reason to use Google search anymore. That might be a bold statement, but it is so good. We can type absolutely anything. So tell me about the UFC fight this weekend. And of course, the competitor to this is Perplexity. I actually haven't used Perplexity much. Who is a fan of Perplexity? And should I be using it? And and if you have used SearchGPT, how does it compare? Okay, so UFC 305, Duplessis, Adesanya, that looks correct. Saturday, August 17th, that is correct. So yeah, has images. You can also get the sources to where it actually pulled this information from, which is pretty cool. Thumbs up, thumbs down, good link, bad link. I don't know what that actually does. UFC, I'll just give it a good link. So you can provide feedback, relevant, up to date, submit. So I have not used that. That's great. Probably just trains the model further. Click in. Okay. Yeah, so you can, search for anything. And it's a little confusing why you would use SearchGPT over ChatGPT or ChatGPT over SearchGPT, because it's essentially the same thing. So if I say, tell me about pineapples, maybe it just uses relevant information from the web rather than just doing what's in its core knowledge base. But yeah, this is a great response. And I use ChatGPT, Claude all the time. I would say it has, even before SearchGPT, it has replaced 90% of my Google searches. Have you tried Find? I have not. I don't remember what Find is actually. Yeah, I did get an email confirmation about SearchGPT waitlist. Yes. So I think they're rolling it out, and there's a lot of people getting it. So hopefully you guys get it quickly. Perplexity marketed as answer, not search. Okay, but like, depending on how it's positioned, maybe is less relevant than what it actually does. Does it do something vastly different than this? Let's see. I'm not going to try to mess around with OBS because it seems to be burning up my laptop right now. So can you search based on date? Say, give me all stories. Okay, let's try that. So give me all stories about pineapples in the last 24 hours. Okay. All right, cool. I like that it pulled in YouTube. So Pineapple Express Storm. I think this is relevant. Let's see. Story not available. Interesting. Yeah, I think these are recent, but it's hard to just know off looking briefly at it. That didn't work. Embassy Media. Let's see if this works. Yeah, hard to tell. Hard to tell. Okay, they are offering SearchGPT in prep for what they integrate it. Oh, for when they integrate it into ChatGPT. Yeah, that seems likely. It like anytime you're doing a current event. Thank you. Builds new things. Oh yes. Yeah. So anytime you search for something in ChatGPT that has some relevance or recency to it, I should say, it does do web crawling. So yeah, let me get our special guest in now.
Awesome.
All right. Talk about Lily Ashwood. I will talk about that while our guest joins. So I don't know
Hello.
much. Hold on one second. I am going to pause the stream just to get our guest in. Give us 1 minute, please. All right. Welcome, welcome. We have Joe from Crew AI joining us today. One of the most awesome agent frameworks out there. Just an awesome guy in general. I've gotten to know him over the past year or so. So welcome, Joe, to the stream.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So excited. Hey there, everyone. I was watching the live as you're going through it. I'm like, oh, this is so interesting. There's so much going on with AI nowadays. Feels like every week is a new week.
Yeah. So we're talking about Search GPT right now. Have you gotten access to it yet, Joe?
I have not. I have not. But I hear that it's similar to kind of like Perplexity, and I don't know if AXA is also offering kind of like a UI for that or not. But feels like that's the future, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I've really I was mentioning earlier, I use it almost exclusively for search now. Although, I've had it less than a day, but even before that, ChatGPT, I just don't go to Google much anymore. Unless I'm looking for a specific website that I want to get my information from, I'm going to ChatGPT or Claude for my information. Although I just found ChatGPT does the best crawling.
Yeah, I hear you. So, out of curiosity, do you ever get a little bit of fatigue? Because, like, you can get better answers from ChatGPT, but you also have to do better questions, right? I feel like in Google, you can be a little lazy and you get a response. Sometimes I find myself just like, I'm gonna need to type it out, the whole problem to get a proper, like, explanation.
Yeah. Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of the early days of Google where to get good results, you actually had to be really good at querying. You had to use a lot of the operators that they offered, but very similar to Google, I think in the long run, these models will get better and OpenAI and other companies are incentivized to make the prompting as simple as possible. That's why I actually think prompt engineering in the long run might not be as relevant as it is today.
Yeah, honestly, I 100%. I feel like I still remember like that you had to do all, and you can still can get a better results from Google if you use all the operators and you can search within the websites and all that. But I think like ChatGPT in general just make it so easier because it's not only the initial response, but then you can, all right, how do I deploy this, or how do I change this, or how do I phrase this? So it just makes sense. I feel like if I go into Google and I find something, and we'll probably copy and paste that into Chat GPT afterwards anyway. So I think it just makes sense to have one single UI to go through it.
Yeah. Somebody anonymous says, I find Google results are still better, but ChatGPT is more fun. Honestly, it's just different. With ChatGPT, you're getting the answer, and I think that's what somebody mentioned earlier. It's like Perplexity and now SearchGPT. You're getting the answer rather than getting a bunch of options to go click and further. And the worst experience to me, especially on mobile, is clicking onto a website having 70% of the screen covered in either ads or cookie accepting pop-ups, And it's just such a poor experience. And then, like, I think recipes are the perfect example. Whenever you search for a recipe, you get whoever wrote it, their entire life story. Where, like, I just want the recipe. That maybe is the peak of that example, but there's a million examples just like that. I want the exact information that I want and nothing else.
Yeah, and I think to your point, honestly, is that like in the past, people always have been like a little bit kind of like not happy about the fact that Google has all this power and has all this and basically like selling ads and that's how they make money. And people tried up to come up with all these different alternatives, right? Like, hey, this is like a paid searching engine, and like feels like all of different products try different things and none of them actually stuck and kind of like actually fly. But now, because it's a completely different medium or a different approach, it feels like people are willing to do this because it's a different model, right? You're searching, you're getting your answers, and I don't know if they're going to charge for you to get access. I assume that you might get better access if you're like an OpenAI paid customer or something. But if you do, they basically crack the code. Like finally, someone figured out a search
Yeah.
engine that people are willing to pay for and not have ads on the other end.
Yeah, and there's still monetization opportunities for a search GPT, even if I'm paying for it. It doesn't that's where it gets a little actually blurry, right? Because like they could prioritize certain sources over others depending on if somebody's paying them or not. Alexandru, thank you. And yeah, I just think that it's a lot cleaner right now than Google, and I would be willing to pay for a Google that didn't show ads. That's why I pay for YouTube Premium. It's like I don't mind paying a little bit extra not to see the ads.
Yeah, and I think honestly that's the case for a lot of people, but I think that with Google was always like a little weird because it was so good, right? You always got your
Yeah.
answer. So it felt a little weird. And I think even the dynamic changes. I remember back in the day where I like people were explaining me a little bit about like about product in general and how Google is like this product that is the only product out there that is trying to make you spend the least amount of possible time in their product, right? They want to optimize for you to find the answer faster and then get on with your life.
Yeah.
And that all changes now. I think like this for me is the most interesting piece. It's like it's a different way from browsing the web, and it changes the way that you price it. It changes the way that you market it. It changes the way that you kind of like frame it. And honestly, I think like people are just going for it, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and Joe, you're already getting questions about crew. We'll write these down or we'll notate them somehow, and we're gonna have a Q&A section session with Joe in a little bit. So feel free to drop your questions now, but we'll certainly have a Q&A session there. Do you know about Kagi, Matthew? No, Kagi. I don't know what that is. Joe, do you know what that is?
AGI? No, that's new.
Okay. Let us know. Okay. So yeah, SearchGPT, I'm going to be testing it out. I've already made it my default search engine. I'm excited about it. Okay, let's keep going. Next, Multion announced something called Agent Q, bringing next generation AI agents with planning and AI self-healing capabilities with a 340% improvement over Llama 3's baseline zero-shot performance. So I'm sure, Joe, you have some thoughts about this. Let's open this up and read a little bit more about it. Agent Q. Oh, yes. Okay. So Multion actually did a pretty funny thing. They basically rode the Mr. Strawberry wave. They basically insinuated that Mr. Strawberry was somebody from Multion. They named it Agent Q. It's interesting. I don't know how I felt about them trying to ride that wave because then at the end of the week when nothing came true, it kind of made them look bad. No?
I mean, honestly, I was looking back into that Thursday AI interview, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if it was intended. I think they got caught up into the wind and
Yeah.
people assumed they were, and then they were like, well, do we say that we are not? And like, how do we go about it? And they just said anything. So I don't know. I think it sounded weird, but hey, it was a good marketing move. So yeah,
Yeah.
kudos.
So Agent Q innovates by combining guided Monte Carlo tree search. So yeah, I mean, this is a lot of this sounds like what the premise of Q Star Strawberry is. So Monte Carlo tree search, AI self-critique with iterative fine-tuning, leveraging reinforcement learning for human feedback, direct preference DPO algorithm. Enables LLM agents to learn from both successful and unsuccessful trajectories, enhancing their generalization capabilities and multi-step reasoning and reasoning tasks. So key components: guided search with MCTS, Monte Carlo tree search, AI self-critique, and DPO. Okay, so yeah, I actually haven't tested it myself. Yeah, has anybody in chat used it? Cone, thank you so much.
So I haven't used it myself, but my understanding, and I was talking with folks from Lution a few weeks ago. I think a lot of their mission is around that they have this very strong belief that agents will need to navigate the web, and that that's going to happen through the browser, and that agents to be useful are going to be able to do that successfully. So they're really trying to double down on like making sure they create agents that can navigate through browser, perform actions through browser, through forms through browser, do everything that is browser based. And I think it's definitely an interesting approach on like how you humanize some of these agents, right? Because I think like when you're building these agents, there are a few different ways that you can do things, and there's ways that you can get agents to be great, but you would start to distance themselves from human behavior. Like if you had them talking their own language, and that might be more efficient. But then like you can inspect it, you can monitor, you can like evaluate it. So it becomes a little weird. So I think it's interesting that they're taking the approach that browser is the way to go, and they're betting on that. I respect that.
Yeah, and it is closed source, if I understand. It is.
Yeah, my understanding is closed source. I know that they use some like open source models internally, and they might do some fine tuning or whatever. I'm not sure, but yeah, my understanding is that's closed source.
And is this consumer facing or is this supposed to be enterprise facing?
My understanding is they're double down on consuming, and I say that
Yeah.
because all the examples that I see are kind of like buying things from Amazon or book me like a flight or something. Kind of a lot of like what people go to when they move things like this. But my understanding is that because of that, it's more kind of consumer facing.
Yeah. Hey, Mike Medvedev. Yes. Joe will talk about Crew AI. I promise. Oh my God, Joe, you have so many questions for you here. Very nice.
Can we turn Joe up a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. It looks good on my end, but let me try. I'll just turn it up. Joe, can you say something?
Yes, 1, 2, 3 testing. Crew AI is awesome.
All right. Hopefully that's better. That's the max I have, so I'm hoping that that makes a difference.
If it don't, I can also go to AirPods. You tell me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you might as well, if that's an issue. Okay, so I'll give Joe a second to switch. So yeah, that's Agent Q. I haven't played around with it much, but it looks cool. I like anything agent related, obviously. Okay, we have cosine .sh who has built Genie next. It is what they are claiming the best software engineering model in the world, scoring a state-of-the-art score of 30% on the SWE bench and 50% on SWE Lite. Trained on proprietary data. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit just so you guys can read this. Nope, that did not work. I got to get good at this zooming. There we go. Okay.
I have to say, I really like their website. Their website's pretty sick.
Yes. So cosine.sh. Trained on proprietary data that codifies human reasoning, representing perfect information lineage. What does that mean? Perfect information lineage. Okay. Incremental knowledge discovery and step-by-step decision making derived from real examples of software engineers doing their jobs. Okay. Anybody know what this means? Representing perfect information lineage. Turn it up to 11. Hopefully you guys can hear it a little bit better now. If not, we will fix it in the next stream. I still don't have an AI agent or AI waifu. Developers, are you working? Man, get to work.
Oh man, I gotta say that I don't know if you remember the replica, like the whole replica like story when like they
No.
had like this kind of so replica was a startup. They were beating I think they started kind of like trying to clone humans. And they didn't launch it kind of like a AI girlfriend that you could have. And if you go into kind of like their Reddit, it's so dystopian because like they push a new version of the model, and then you get all these comments of people like, "You changed my connection. She's not answering the
Yeah.
way that like she used to, and like I had this relationship, and it's a little dystopian. Think of like it's like a very wild term.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've talked about this. If you look, there was that one, but there was another one. Character AI had a lot of the same things, like people becoming addicted to it. Like it's not for me, but I like no judgment. I get it. I've talked about this in the past. There's a loneliness epidemic right now, and if you can have an AI to talk with and it helps, I think in the short term that's wonderful. But we're also facing population decline, and so I think it almost exacerbates the issue in the mid and long run. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I gotta say, it's I can definitely see it happening, right? I mean, we have been seeing with the internet this happening as well, where kind of like in the beginning, like people are just like meeting new people online, and now with like new distribution mediums like YouTube, you have all these people that, for example, watch you, and they have a relationship with you, right? They like they're longing for our videos, they like watching your videos, they create this relationship. So for me, it feels a natural progression that if you give them an AI to talk to, they will find a way to bound with that. I think the problem is that doesn't translate into material world, right? So I think like it leaves a gap in there that I'm not sure how that's going to work out for the society. And population decline is a big problem.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting. There's certainly a lot of addiction to AI companionship. I think it's so early. It's going to be interesting. Plush jobs, catching alive, love your content, but of course hate your takes on copyright. Maybe this is something we should have a discussion on in another stream. Maybe I've conveyed my thoughts on copyright in a bit more severe way than I should have, but I'm definitely open to being wrong about it. Okay. A book writing crew AI setup for long technical documentation. Oh, Joe, you're gonna have so much to talk about in a few minutes. Yeah, be sure keep dropping your questions. I think Alex hopefully is taking note, and we'll get them all to you in a sec, Joe. Jerry prompt, can't wait until I can use AI to recreate a gay bar to cruise around. Cool. Teacher relationship, Netflix and show. Okay, I'm gonna stop reading the comments now. Okay, so yeah, this is a really good coding framework. Is it a model or a framework? Let's see. I haven't actually dug too deeply into this, but here's the Swebench. What was that really popular one? That Devin.
Devin,
Do you see Devin on here? Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit.
I think I saw
I see.
someone said
there it
they
is.
asked if you had access to it a while ago. So maybe there's
No.
something new.
No, I don't. I haven't had access to Devin. I've played around with OpenDevin, Devika, and I just don't understand where the moat is on a Devin-esque product. And also open source seems to be catching up quickly. So I don't have Devin yet. But here is Devin right here. It looks like it's going about a 14%. And then here's cosine Genie. Far better, 30%. Of course, we all know benchmarks cannot be trusted.
Yeah, I found it funny as well because they have like Devin a couple times in there. So you have the claim Devin that is like 13.8%, but then if you scroll down, they have Devin again at like 3.4%.
Oh, right here.
I
Is
mean, I'm
this
looking at that on their. Yeah, I went to
on?
their webpage and then there's another link in there.
Yeah, it's right here too. Cognition Devin full and then Cognition Devin extrapolated.
Yeah,
I
people are saying they got access to Devin a couple days ago.
What do you guys think? Devin really dropped off. Then they doubled down on no Windows binaries. Okay. OSS is the way to go. Agreed. Let's turn off that zoom. Yeah, your mouse is also getting shown on the camera. That is intentional. Do you guys not want that? I mean, I think I have to for now. Maybe next stream if you don't want that. I have Devin in my pants. Great. Thank you for that. Devin ignored me. I haven't tried it yet. Okay. I don't know. I don't think a lot of people have had access yet. Certainly like I'll try it out when I get access though. Okay. So the architecture, so here's the code breakdown of how it was trained. JavaScript and Python, I know JavaScript is the most popular coding language in the world, but I think Python is pretty close up there. When we first started work on Genie, we only had access to fine-tune relatively short context window models in the 16 to 32K range. Did a lot of exploration, training them on substantial data sets, 100 million tokens, quickly realized the architecture we had come up with had merit, but was fundamentally constrained by how much information was representable to the model at any given moment. Now, that is the biggest issue with coding with AI in general, is the context window. But not only that, first of all, code bases get large really quickly. And unless you are keeping your code base incredibly modular, which, over time it's just harder to do. Obviously that's the goal, but it's very hard to do. When you kind of throw in all of your code into a model and ask it to do things, I find that it struggles to make connections between different parts of a code base. Now, if I'm asking it to write a script for me or some, file, single method, it does that great. But overall, my experience has been, it's like very much a point solution versus like I can just throw my entire code base in there. The exception maybe was Aider, AIDER, which I made a video about a while ago. But Aider used some really interesting techniques to essentially map the code base the way that if you like open up VS Code and you do a search and you can like easily search around the code, it uses that same technology to map the code base, and then you could use an LLM to essentially search through the different parts of the code. I don't know. Joe, what do you think? What's your experience with coding with AI? I'm sure you have a lot.
Yes, I gotta say, like what I'm finding useful is I at first I was using a lot of GPT as everyone else. Then I started to use the Copilot from GitHub, and I really like that. And eventually people sold me out on using Cursor. And I love Cursor, but it's because there's their conversational aspect to that, right? It's pretty easy for you to like, hey, I'm in this file. I want to code specifically this file. I want to bring these different files that I know that they are related to each other. So you have all the context that you need. Now help me to kind of like do something with it. So for me, that has been helpful. I can't envision yet like these models being able to do like full applications themselves. Maybe like if it's greenfield, yes, for sure. But if it's like updating or adding a new feature for like a 7-year-old, I don't know, app, I think that will be something that the models will struggle. But again, a lot of like on the opportunity, right? And that's how like startups like Devin got huge valuations because if you can tackle a problem like that, the potential is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I've also used Pythagora, which is another like AI coding assistant, and that seems to be really good as well. I've worked with them in the past, so I really like them. But yeah, it's a hard problem. Like certainly everybody's becoming more productive overall using AI as a coding assistant, but AI coding entire applications from the ground up, I haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
I think like there are gonna be a few problems that I'm sure that's gonna get solved. Like the models are gonna get better. They're gonna be able to reason better. I'm sure of that. Like context windows might increase, and we can see how that go. But I think like in order for you to allow these models to do code that existing apps, there's a lot of software engineering that needs to go behind that, right? From
Yeah.
like ragging, the context, the selection, security. It's a bunch like that needs to be done around it to make sure that you can leverage those models.
Yeah. Well said. All right. So we have a few more stories to cover. I also want to make sure we have enough time to ask Joe all the questions. So we'll probably go over a few more news stories, maybe for like 10 more minutes, and then we'll leave the last 20, 25 minutes to Q&A with Joe. So let's see. Sakana AI. Let me turn off Dark Reader. There we go. Sorry for the sudden brightness. Sakana AI released the AI Scientist towards fully automated, open-ended scientific discovery. This is AI that can actually make new discoveries. If this is true, so I haven't done a lot of digging into this yet, but if this is true, it is substantial. Thinking back to Leopold Aschenbrenner's paper, Situational Awareness, the kind of step that is required to really hit the intelligence explosion is being able to have AI that can essentially self-evolve, which requires research. It needs to be able to actually research and discover things on its own. Sakana AI, a very popular AI company, I believe they're out of Japan, apparently has solved this. Joe, have you heard of this?
I have heard about Sakana, but I haven't seen any like results or big kind of things from it. But hey, I think you're on point, right? The way that we get to things like AGI is giving the ability of self-improvement, and self-improvement needs to go beyond of like doing the same thing, like needs to figure out new ways of doing things. So I think it's an interesting concept. I just don't know how real it is today versus like a research project.
Yeah, and I think also there's a distinct difference between self-healing and self-discovery, yeah, like just being able to actually discover new things. Self-healing means something goes wrong and it can identify it and fix itself. Self-discovery is actually coming up with something new, something that it hasn't been trained on, and that seems like the definition of AGI to me. So
Yeah.
today we're excited to introduce the AI Scientist, the first comprehensive system for fully automatic scientific discovery, enabling foundation models such as large language models to perform research independently. In collaboration with Forrester, is that right? Forrester Lab for AI research at the University of Oxford, and Jeff Kong Lu at University of British Columbia. We're excited to release our new paper. I have not read this paper yet. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do a deep dive on this in a separate video. So in our report, we propose and run a fully AI-driven system for automated scientific discovery applied to machine learning research. This is literally what Leopold Aschenbrenner talked about in his situational awareness paper. If AI is able to discover new science within the world of machine learning and artificial intelligence, like what else is there? Then we just throw a bunch of compute at it and it is going to scale exponentially. What do you think, Joe?
I think like if we get to that, then it's like how fast can it run? because that's going to be the problem, right? If it starts to improve itself so fast, we don't keep track of it. I'm looking through their blog posts, and I really like what they have done, right? In the end of the day, like I think what they're doing is providing a framework for this model to execute, and they probably have done quite a lot of fine tuning on the model as well. But you can see that it's basically this idea of like creating hypothesis and antithesis, trying to prove it, run a few times, and then kind of like writing the paper. I think in the end of the day, is like, is the actual paper has any material new things, right? That's the problem. It's not only about like creative way to write words together, but like novelty ideas. I think that's the problem that it's hard to fix.
So here it says the AI scientist automates the entire research lifecycle from generating novel research ideas, writing any necessary code, and executing experiments, to summarizing experimental results, visualizing them, and presenting its findings in a full scientific manuscript. So I read down here, designed to be compute efficient, each idea is implemented and developed into a full paper at a cost of approximately $15 per paper. Wow. That's insane.
That's pretty cheap. And it seems they use
Yeah.
it like GPT-4, also Sonnet, and in some open models. I was expecting them to use their own thing.
Yeah. So maybe, I mean, they just put a framework around it, I guess. We also introduce an automated peer review process to evaluate generated papers, write feedback, and further improve the results. Repeated iteratively to develop ideas in an open-ended fashion and add them to a growing archive of knowledge, thus imitating the human scientific community. Interesting. So it learns something, validates it, peer reviews it, and then adds it to its knowledge base. That is very cool.
I wonder like
Yeah.
if like you're gonna have less relevant research as kind of things like this start to put me out a bunch of things in there. And if either will like make people less motivated to do like research of themselves. I hope it's not the case though.
Yeah. And I think there's also something to be said that there's a lot of low hanging fruit early in scientific research of a specific topic. And then as progresses, that low hanging fruit disappears and it becomes more costly to get incremental improvements in whatever you're researching. I think that's just nature, right? Like there's just a curve that you have to deal with. And that also means that the cost in terms of tokens and really breaking down into compute and energy will increase and the return on investment will decrease.
Yeah, 100%. I honestly, I wonder like how much, even if you look at LLMs right now, and I think you and I were chatting about this the other day, right? Like in the early model days, GPT 3.5, GPT 4, you would see all these big jumps whenever a
Yeah,
new model comes. And right now everyone's fighting for like that 5% improvement and claiming the
that's right.
first spot because of that. I wonder how much that will play out in here. Like, yeah, these LLMs might be able to kind of like provide those like 1% new discoveries, but what about those big breakthroughs? I don't know if that's going to be feasible to that. If it is, then for me, is AGI.
Right. And I actually, that's a really interesting point because there's this notion that if we, if artificial intelligence is open sourced, bad actors are going to get a hold of it. And then all of a sudden they're going to be able to make this huge breakthrough and they have the most powerful AI. But I think what we're seeing amongst the closed source, even open source, basically all the major companies that are releasing AI right now, they're fighting over like percentage points of improvement. And so that's why I'm not as nervous about open source artificial intelligence. I just don't think any bad actor that has significantly less resources than any state, and we could talk about, states as well in a second, but I don't think any kind of rogue bad actor is going to have a 50, 100% jump in quality that their AI will just be able to defeat all other AI.
100%. I mean, to this point, like I gotta say, And I think this is good. I'm being very conservative about what to expect from things like GPT-5 or Strawberry or Q-Star and all that. Just because honestly, like you have so many big players throwing so much money into this that unless it's a like amazing research breakthrough, I think like we now are fighting for like a very small like percentage incrementals, and yeah, I'm trying to be a little more conservative and not get too much excited about how things are going to play out. That said, you never know. Sam's definitely cooking. OpenAI is doing its thing, so hey, let's see.
Okay, so on to the next story. Google's Gemini Live. So it was a cool event. I've been using Gemini built into OK Google for a while now. And of course, my phone just turned on. And yeah, I didn't really see anything that I haven't played around with except for the Gemini Live, which is, they beat OpenAI to market with the live functionality. So being able to actually have a real conversation, interrupt voice mode with Gemini. And I think there was a couple interesting bits in there. I haven't played around with live yet, but I think that's the future interface between humans and artificial intelligence's voice. It just seems so obvious. Yeah, what do you think, Joe?
I think so. And honestly, I already like caught myself trying to do this, right? So I used to spend a lot of time on ChatGPT just trying to learn new things. And then I got one of those Meta Ravens, and I
I
got
love
myself
mine.
going into walks. It's so good. I got myself going into walks and trying to talk with it, right? I think the problem is that I don't know if they have updated it yet because I just lost mine like 3 weeks ago. But the way that it worked, it was in bursts, right? So I would have to say, hey, Meta, and then I would say, I'm thinking about this QA problem that I'm trying to fix it. And then it would give me an answer and kind of like stop. And I would have to say, hey, Meta again, and keep on the conversation. And it has some like context, so it remembers like what I just said, and that was good. But for me, it's an early indication that I'm already trying to replicate like that voice interface, right? So I think that's going to be natural, especially like for you going into an ALK and talking over things.
Yeah, and speaking of, during the demo, they actually so Google has been criticized in the past for not doing live demos. Live demos as a builder is the scariest thing ever. Now, factor in the non-deterministic nature of artificial intelligence, and that is like the live demo is the most frightening thing ever. And they attempted it, and if you watched the demo, it actually failed twice before he got it to work. So this guy right here, I like he handled it extremely well. I could sense the nervousness, like, oh my God, is this not going to work at all? But I think he handled it really well.
So if I happen
And
to come across,
I'm going to mute it, but basically what he does is he pulls out Gemini, pulls out a menu, takes a picture, and then, by the way, I think this is really cool as a demo. So he takes a picture, he asks Gemini to basically cross-reference his calendar to see if he's available during these dates that are in the photo. And it didn't work the first two times, and then he had to switch phones, and then it worked. So yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah, Jacob, live demo, the Elon Cybertruck live demo. Yeah, the live demo, you're always in trouble. For those of you who are not familiar, basically they took this like steel ball, threw it at the Cybertruck's window thinking it wouldn't break, and it broke. They tried it again, broke again. And it got turned into a meme. But you know what? Elon is like the meme master, and he owned it, and it became a kind of a promotional benefit to him. So I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, so broke twice here, or didn't work twice, and then it finally worked. Here he's switching the phone. Real nervous. His partner on screen is just standing there, not helping much. But yeah, this was awkward watching it. Yeah, first demo is a nightmare.
Yeah, I think like on the Elon thing, jury's still out if that was planned or not. I saw some people claiming that, oh, this was planned. This was like good PR marketing or whatever. I don't think it is, but yeah, it would be fun if it was. But yeah, and you know this is cool about Gemini is you think about it, like they probably are working on the model and all that, but what makes this cool is not the model itself, right? It's all like the connectivity, the calendar
Yeah.
integration, the fact it knows about your life. So I think it's good that now you're getting to this maturity level where people understand that this models like are so capable, and the value is not necessarily wrapping it, but supporting it on all these different connections and integrations to allow the specific use cases.
Yeah. Agreed. I think I think Apple and Google are extremely well positioned to win consumer AI, right? Because they need to put models on the phone, local models, hopefully open source, but minimally local. Then they have access to all of our private information already. I use iOS, I use all of Google's services for email, for calendar, for everything. So a nice small model that can run locally that doesn't need to have world knowledge. It just needs to have executing knowledge. I think that's really the future of consumer AI. Something like an agent that can go do things on my behalf 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I gotta say, I had an interesting conversation the other day over dinner with a few other AI founders, and we were talking about that, and if people actually like would use it or not. If for example, whenever you're booking a flight, right? It's something that takes a while. It's kind of like there's a mental effort into like, oh, like, do I go aisle? Do I go window? How do I go about it? And then there's always that question, would you trust an AI to just go ahead and do it for you and just like, hey, this is it? And I think it's going to be kind of like a generational thing where like people
Yeah.
like us might take a while to get used to it. But I think for people that are going to be born in this age, like this is the way, this is the platform and the only way that you do it.
Agreed. Agreed. There's going to be a sharp learning curve, and it is going to be generational, certainly. Okay, it is 11:10 Pacific. I want to give plenty of time to ask Joe questions. Joe, you got a lot of questions. I'm going to switch the screen. Okay, welcome back, Melissa and Alex as well. You can see them in the top there. And let's ask some questions. Alex, if you want to jump in and let us know some questions that you've seen. Otherwise, everybody who's in chat, drop your questions and we'll start asking Joe all the questions about Crew AI. Maybe while that's getting ready, Joe, you could just give like the briefest summary of what Crew AI is. Obviously, if anybody watches this channel at all, they probably already know, but go ahead, give like a brief summary.
I love that. Hey, everyone, thank you for having me. Take it easy on me, please. I gotta tell, Crew AI, basically, we started this open source framework to allow people to build multi-agents. And we have a very opinionated way on how you should be building these agents, and turns out it works. And that kind of like organically turned into a company. And now we have enterprise offering and are working with major Fortune 500 companies on building automations that are powered by multi-agents, using a lot of the things that we talked during this conversation: self-healing, ability to do search, ability to reason, and connect to integrations, and everything in between. So that would be the TLDR.
Yeah, and I met Joe almost a year ago now, and he told me what he was gonna build, and a lot of people tell me I'm gonna build this thing, and I embarrassingly kind of said, "Okay, that sounds cool, Joe. Good luck." And then like a month and a half later, he pings me again. He's like, "Matt, can I show you what I've built?" I was like, "Oh, okay." And then he showed me, and I had like a holy shit moment. This guy ships. So and he continues to do so. I've really not met many founders. Sorry, I'm completely gonna embarrass you for a second, Joe. Who ship as much as quickly as Joe does, and it's super impressive. So I'm an investor in Crew, and I'm very, very proud to be one. Okay, Alex, what questions we got?
Yeah, I have a list. Would you like me to ask them? I sent it to you as well if you would like
Sure.
to
Where did
ask
you
them as
send it to
well.
me?
Oh, just on Telegram.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let me Ah, perfect. Yes, let me open this up. So, Joe, let's start from the top. Non-Go bits. Question for Joe. Any plans on UI or node-based code-free interface?
Yes, yes. We're calling it UI Studio. I actually have it running locally, and it's currently something that I'm personally working on. So we have a team working on a lot of different things, but this one is near and dear to my heart, and it's a mix. It's different from everything that you're seeing out there in terms of like agent building. My hot take, might be hot take, I'm not sure, is I don't like node-like UIs. I think they're great for screenshots and making things sound like super complex, but I don't think they're the best ones to build some of those automations. So what we're doing is an incremental UI where you can go as easy as text only, very like custom GPT style, and then you can evolve into a table view and into a node view if you want to, and then you can go directly into code and you can actually download. And the idea is to be like you can either transfer from UI to code and code to UI at any point in time, and it should just work.
Awesome. When can people expect it?
I'm gonna be done with it probably this weekend, and the idea is that we're gonna release it to GA. Everyone's gonna be able to use it next month, so in around 20 days from now or something.
Awesome. Okay. From Bazooka Tooth, can agents do an OAuth workflow, token exchanges, refreshing, etc.? So basically authentication.
Yes, you could. I wonder if you would want that. I think it depends a lot of like what you're trying to automate and what would be the flow. But in the end of the day, like if you let's like think about the most simple agent ever. It's an LLM that is kind of like choosing to use tools or not in order to accomplish a goal. And these tools are actual Python code or whatever language you might want it to be. So you can actually code like any authentication mechanics or any integration or API call or database connection or RAG or anything into them. And what these agents are going to do is they're going to decide to use these tools or not in runtime, depending on like what they're trying to accomplish. So you can go wild. You can actually build anything if you really put your mind to it. It's a matter of how complex it gets.
All right. Thank you. Mike Medvedev. Can Joe tell us about Crew? Already mentioned it, but what are Crew AI's plans for the future? What other things besides the UI can people expect? Obviously, share what you're comfortable with.
Sure, there's so much, so much. I gotta say, if you look at our feature list, like you would be, yeah, it's incredible. So just to let you folks know in some numbers and where these features came from. So right now we have a little over 29,000 people in the waiting list and companies. Out of those, we got a little over 9,000 companies that signed up for beta customers. And out of those, I personally talk with around 350 of them. And it was good because there was all different sizes. And a lot of people that I talked with were actually engineers. So I got a very good understanding on like what features people actually want. And this is funny because it's completely different from a lot of all the startups experiences that I ever had, where you build something and you gotta pray and offer like something to the internet gods so that people give you feedback. And in here, like people are eager to tell you what they need. So there's a few features. There's one specific called management UI, and that's a way for you to manage your agents in runtime and interact with them in runtime. It blows this idea of like human in the loop because the human is always in the loop. You're going to be able to interact with agents runtime and see their progress and leave feedback. And there's a lot that's going on in there. So this is one feature, for example, that's one of the most requested ones. But there's so much more that we're cooking.
Okay. Juan Oliver Cruz. I love this question. Are you planning on doing some sort of built-in route LLM with Crew AI? So basically, some kind of automatic prompt to model optimization, choosing the right model for the prompt based on that prompt. And that decreases latency, increases efficiency, decreases cost, increases quality. It's just, if you haven't seen my video about Route LLM, I highly recommend it. I absolutely love this project from Together AI. But yeah, Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, so we actually have something in the works. Someone sent me a demo, like someone in the team sent me a demo this week. There's a few different ways that we can go about it, right? You can run multiple requests and then you choose what is the best answer, or you basically pre-classify like these are the things that works for what models, and you choose that at runtime, and then you just do one request. I think we're gonna probably ship the former first, where you can say, hey, I want this request to go to these 3 different models and models providers, and then to choose whatever is the best answer out of those. And we can do those requests in parallel. So you don't necessarily is going to win in execution time, but quality will get better. That said, we did launch a new feature in open source called Create Test. And it's our initial step into a testing framework for agents, where you can actually test like what is the quality of your agent's output, and you can compare different models yourself. So you can run against GPT-4, Sonnet, 4o Mini, and you can see different quality and time of execution, and then take an informed decision like, oh, I'm going to go with this model or that model. In the enterprise solution, we're doing a lot of extra magic where you can like even automatically say, I want to focus this crew to improve in quality, and we're going to say you should be using these models specifically for your crew if you want to optimize for quality, or these if you want to optimize for speed. So we're going to basically have a very informed opinion in there.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, it's interesting to see kind of where the end of Crew AI's functionality is, and then where like, hey, this is something you'll build yourself. I suspect that's kind of an ongoing discussion internally at Crew AI, especially like when you start to think about things like caching, Route LLM, mixture of agents, all of these techniques that will continue to develop and get released. Which ones get integrated natively? Which ones should you be able to just build yourself? So yeah, it's definitely an interesting question. Okay. So Ken Fink, best open local models for Crew AI. Any interesting training variants for quality reliability, or is there a crew designed to train, optimize a local model for optimal Crew AI responses? So basically, what are the best open models for Crew?
So I can actually pull the list right now of what are the most used open models. I think right now with some of the new models that probably change it, like the new Llama 3.1 models are honestly incredible and they work. So you can even use the like small 7 billion one all the way to the biggest ones, and that's gonna work like a charm. There's a few like smaller ones that are older, like OpenERMS 2.5 that also work great in Mixtro. But looking at the ones that are most used in, it seems that Llama, OpenArms, Mixtro, and all the variations of these models are probably the most common ones based on what I can see now. So those would be it. We tested, and I have actually fine-tuned the model specifically for crew, and we were calling it Mariner for a second. So I still have this model locally; it's not public yet. The idea is that if we can get it to work good enough, we're gonna open source it with everything, so people can actually use it. And the idea is to be a super lightweight model that allows you to execute this crews locally very easily if you want to. And it's gonna work like a charm.
Okay. Thank you. I think we have probably time for maybe 2 more questions. So from Hector Peralta, how do you see Crew AI impacting large industries like healthcare, education, or finance?
Yeah, so healthcare is a little more complex, right? And I think Cruise specifically has a big potential to both healthcare and finance, because there's a lot of PII and sensitive data. And that means that people needs to execute those models either locally or like fine-tuned versions and whatever it might be. And because Crew works as a platform, it kind of like is very well suited to that, because you can run agents based off those models. and you're not like the data is never leaving your premises. But I can definitely see it impact these areas. We're talking with big customers in finances, like let me see them, the people that I can talk about. Carlisle, for example, I can mention them. Big Fund, and then also I also know some big banks that are doing very exciting things with AI agents in general. So I think there's a lot of potential for disruption, honestly, especially on automations and internal operations in general.
Okay, great. So I think we'll do one last question. JR Oliver, I did already show Search GPT. We played around with it at the beginning of the stream, so just rewind. You could check it out. All right, this is from Dhruv Didi. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. This is a fantastic question. I know you've thought about this extensively. So as we add more agents, hallucinations increase. How can we solve this?
So that's a very great question. So I gotta say, when we first started Create AI, that was a fundamental uh, question, right? People would ask us, well, if with one agent you have X amount of hallucination, like 5% of hallucination, if you add two or three, why are you not getting like 60% of hallucination? And what we learn is that you sometimes get less, because now what you have is you have like agents fact checking each other. So like an agent's gonna say like, no, this doesn't sound correct. Let me try to search for this again, and then goes on and search and find that. So I think there's a component of like agents fact check agents that
And
come
that
into
is
play
that like
here.
the self-healing aspect that we talked about earlier? I mean, it doesn't
I
just
think
apply
that's
to
part of it.
coding.
Exactly. And I think that's part of it. Part is the self-healing process. So for example, in my cruise, I always get a final QA agent. Like I usually it's like something that comes natural for me. And that QA agent double checks the information, make sure that gets sources where the things were extracted from and all that. And that helps a lot. And then the other thing that we did that also happens a lot with it's a new feature on the open source that you can use called Crew AI Train. So you can think about it as like onboarding your agents. So you can train them and you can say, I'm going to train them 2 times or 3 times, and they will perform the task and ask you for feedback right away. And then you can give them feedback. It's like, no, you left the sources out. I want the sources where you like extract this material. And then this becomes ingrained in their memory, and they never forget about this again in any future runs. And in that way, you have consistent results, and you can do a lot of like avoid a lot of hallucination doing that.
Okay. You know what? One more, because I like this question too. Are there any plans to add auto-created agents similar to Agent Zero? I'm not familiar with Agent Zero, but I think what that means is templatized agents or agents that create other agents. Maybe you can speak to both of those.
Yeah, so templates, yes, we are shipping a lot of them. The idea is that we're gonna make that available in Create Plus, but it's gonna have a free tier, so you're gonna be able to access all of that for free. You don't need to pay for anything, and you're gonna be able to use all those templates. And then the other thing is agents that create agents. I think there's a few different ways to do it. There is one, agents creating agents in runtime, right? So like, hey, I need to perform this task. For this, I need to store 5 agents. I need to create them. And we actually have a model that we fine-tuned specifically to create agents. So it's good at like understanding like what a good agent would be, and they can create out these agents for you. And that's part of what goes into UI Studio. But I think it's an interesting problem. I think it's not as usual, but I think it's more usual. I think it's more useful when people are trying to create crews and they want to start from a blank slate than creating engines in runtime.
All right, Joe. I think we're going to end it there. Thank you so much for joining, talking about AI news, answering a bunch of questions about Crew. If you want to check out Crew, it's crewai.com. You can get started for free immediately. It's open source. Thank you, Joe, for contributing to the open source community. Obviously, there's Crew AI Plus if you want to start kind of going production with at an enterprise level. And yeah, crewai.com. Check that out. Follow me on Twitter at Matthew Berman. We also have a newsletter, matthewberman.com. And we just started memberships right before this stream started. This is our inaugural stream. We have a lot to learn, a lot to evolve on, but I think it went pretty well. I want to thank Alex for moderating, for setting most of this up, for helping with the memberships. Thank you to Mel for basically taking a million things off my plate so that I can focus on making cool videos. And thank you everybody for joining. This has been so much fun. I really enjoy this. I think we're going to keep doing it. Maybe Friday at 10 a.m. is the time. So thank you all, and hopefully see you next week.
Bye-bye. Thank you for having me.
Bye, everyone.